Welcome, everyone, to the ZASA magazine podcast interview. We are chatting to, sorry, I'm just going to keep adjusting my mic a bit. We are chatting to Frank Cassander. We're actually going to be capturing this one on video as well. So you will get a chance to watch the interview as soon as we do the actual release. Frank Kasonde, I'm not going to do you the injustice of doing the introduction. I will allow you to do that in a bit. But I just want to, maybe let's actually just start there. So with the introduction, Frank Kasonde, who is Frank Kasonde? For anyone who's listening, I'm sure you've heard about the movie, the upcoming movie, The Struggle. The Kenneth Kaunda documentary. Is it a documentary or a movie?
It's actually a movie than a...
more of a movie than a documentary.
It's more a movie. We'll do a documentary just for marketing purposes, but it's pretty much a movie.
Awesome. All right. So now tell us a bit about you, Frank. Who is Frank? Where does he come from? You're a Matero boy. Now you need to
Matero,
give us that story.
Exactly.
Now.
Okay. So I was born and raised in Lusaka, Atlanta to be precise. And how I describe myself is pretty much exciting. I look at myself as an underdog. Everything that I do. So I come from a family of 9. 2 guys, the firstborn, and I'm the 6th born, and the rest are girls. So it's pretty much a space full of women, you know what I mean? So
wait, say that again. This is how many boys?
2 guys, the firstborn and myself, who is the 6th born, and the rest are girls.
So you are number 6.
Yeah, imagine. I come from a huge, amazing family. So it's pretty much a lot of responsibility, having ladies around. You need to make sure that you're out there just to keep them inspired, and it's a partnership.
I can understand your dynamics because we are a family of 7. We actually lost two members, but that was like at birth, etc. So we are also a pretty big family. How was it growing up in a family like of that size, and how has that informed your direction in terms of the movies and everything that you're making?
It was pretty much dramatic. Aside
with
my
so many
brothers,
women,
my
I can
sisters,
understand.
We actually had, it is huge extended family. So my dad is one of the the big guys in the family who actually everybody runs to for help and things like that. So we did have cousins and around, so we could go like 15 in the same house. So it was pretty much.
Especially those like holidays and the Christmas periods, and then you've got all of the family.
One huge family. Yeah. So step aside. There's no food for you. You have to be around when
you have to.
When everybody's eating. You know what I mean? And that's what I actually love about my mom is that she actually she treated everybody like one. It doesn't matter if it's our own kid that is not around. If you're not around, there's no food for you.
I think Zambian women are like that. Yes.
So it was pretty much amazing growing up in that space, and it actually taught me, responsibility to know that I'm not the only one that is supposed to. That whatever it is I do, it's not up to me. It's not for me. It's for people around me. So it actually changed my perspective as to how I need to do things for people. You know what I mean? Because I know. If it's not for my young sisters, for my elder sisters, if it's not for my cousins. So it actually taught me a lot of responsibility in the line run of sharing and just being there for other people, So it actually inspired the project that I'm actually doing now, because I learned that it's not what I take, but what I give that actually creates, an impact. The saying that says, you can create a living with what you get, but you can create a life with what you give. So I was more in a space of what can I give, what can I offer to my family, to my community, to my country, to Africa and the world at large. So pretty much it actually changed my perspective on how I get to see myself in future.
Just quickly jumping into your family, your parents, are they both still with us?
Still alive. Both still alive. They're still
in Zambia,
in the same place in Rwanda, and
your sisters and your brothers.
My sisters actually.
Your brother.
My brother is still alive. He's a businessman. He's a businessman, and my baby sister. Most of my baby sisters actually. The last born is at Unza doing agriculture. 2 of my baby sisters, the middle baby sister actually has been working in the army in ZNS for I don't know, is it 7 years now? Then the second last born just went for training now as we speak.
Wow.
She's gone for training, including with my elder sister. Like it's pretty much everybody in the army. Then my eldest, one of my elder sisters is actually doing I don't know what they call it, but being a reverend.
What's bringing that influence of the army there, though?
So we have majority of our family actually comes from a army background.
Right.
Yeah, I was supposed to be in the army as well, but
you chose a different path.
I was so stubborn. Like, man, my stubbornness has actually gotten me this far.
Yeah.
I had to go ahead and do some tattoos because I heard that you can't go in if it's this. So I was like, I can't go to this. There's just too much restriction. It's a good space, but I just felt like it is a space that you pretty much you can do most of being your own because there's a lot of submission and it comes with the territory. You know what I mean? As an army, you need to be grounded to a certain family. I would say. You know what I mean? I think I can call it a family. So
right.
Standing out pretty much.
Or a way of living, if you can.
You know what I
put
mean?
it that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, it was actually a different kind of a lifestyle. So even when I was growing up, I would say my father taught me responsibility, and I'm not talking about this father and son talk. You know what I mean? I was very problematic. So my father was good at beating, like he could even beat other people from other families.
Let's define problematic before we go too far. So
problematic.
what does that mean? I was
this person that I traded my freedom for a beating. So what my father used to do, he had no time to tell
That's
me.
a very interesting phrase. Say that again. You traded your freedom
for my beating.
For your beating.
For my beating, yes, like being beaten at home.
Instead of freedom.
My dad was this guy that he beats you all the time. Whatever it is, you make a mistake, it doesn't know who you are, a daughter or a son, it beats you.
Okay.
So he tells you come home at this time. So I'm out there, I'm enjoying the freedom.
Yeah.
Knowing in my mind that I'm going to be beaten home.
That's the price to be paying.
I made, like I said, it taught me responsibility. So what I could do is that I'll be like, okay, why doesn't he want me to do this? So I'll go out and do the thing that he actually tells me not to do, knowing that he's going to beat me. So what I used to do, I'll make sure to say, I'm guaranteed for a beating. So that way I trade. It's a reason actually when you look at the space of my family, I'm the only one that actually is doing what I'm doing because
you were able to
I was able to do it back then, you know what I mean? So for my sisters, pretty much they were guided where they are now was predicted.
Their paths were already set. Yeah,
you know what I mean? But for me, I didn't want that. You know what I mean? I remember having a conversation with my dad and he's asking me about this same project. This thing, you've been doing this for a very long time. It's not working. You're a man. You need to pick it up. I'm getting old and you need kicking and pretty much that kind of a conversation. And I asked him one simple particular question and said, how did you see yourself when you were young? He made a big mistake and he told me how big he wanted to be. You know what I mean? So I told him to say, but where are you now?
Did you pursue it?
You know what I mean? And they looked at me. I told him, you're an old man now. You're over 50 now. And you want me to do exactly what you did. Even though when you know it ends you to where you want to be. So I told him, let me make my own mistakes. And let me see where this system is going to lead me.
When does this conversation happen?
It's some time back, I think like around 2012 or something.
Right.
That was like 2012 or something.
This is now, you have been doing the Struggle project for from 2008 it was?
2008, exactly.
And this is now 2012, so you're looking at about 4 years in.
Yeah, 4 years in, then, pretty much there's nothing that is coming up and, a lot of things seem not working and he's just getting worried. Like our parents are designed to find a safety route for us to be comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So if it wasn't for filmmaking, what other path would you have chosen, or is it just filmmaking?
Actually, I used to be a great footballer.
All right.
Yeah, I used to be a great footballer. I played for big teams.
A lot of people say I used to be a great footballer, and so give us the gist now. So when you say you used to be a great footballer, at what point in your life is this, and what's the context?
Back then in school, I was in school. I was at Cafe Boys. I used to be the football captain for Cafe Boys, and
captain.
Yeah, the captain, and it was a big solid team, and. Actually, we didn't win a lot of games before the time I came in. You know what I mean? And so there was that thing, okay, let's see this guy that comes in. So I use pretty much the same system that I'm using now. It's not about you being grade 12 or being grade 9 or being grade 8. If you're good, you perform better, I put you on my team.
Right.
So previous teams, it will be that thing where they just get grade 12 and the 3 grade 11.
Stick to the
you know what I mean?
groups, yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're good or not. So for me, it was strictly, you're grade 9 and you're amazing, I'm going to put you on my team.
Yeah.
So
all right.
I was the only one in the history of football at Kefil Boys who actually had lesser number of grade 12. I think I only had about, 4 of them, and the rest were grade 8, grade 9s, and grade 11s.
And they were busy.
And we were amazing. And we
everyone.
won, you know, Naboy was a big team that couldn't be beaten at that time. We used to do those Coca-Cola games, I think you heard of him back then. So I went in and I performed nicely, and I took the team to as far as quarterfinals.
Wow.
Which never happened in the space of like, I don't know, 12 years or so.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So from there, I came back, I started playing for teams like a few stairs. I played for teams, I went as far as playing for teams like Zanaco, and that's when I had, from there, I had an injury, then I went, we are the ones that actually...
So the injury, is that what stopped you from
That's what actually
pursuing
stopped
that?
me. You know?
Right.
So actually, we are the ones that actually started a team called Lumwana Radiance.
Okay.
So I actually started working for Lumwana at some point. Actually, no, I started playing soccer for them, and they picked me, and I started working for a company. So I didn't spend much of time from there. Then I came back to Lusaka and I started my business. So after that, my business it went AWOI, and things were suddenly, not making sense. And that's when we had this conversation with my dad, and he's saying, what are you doing with your life? You know, like, you need to pick up your pace, you need to find something to do with your life. You're a man, and so I'm thinking, like, my father and my mom, they're my inspiration, you know what I mean? But I know to what extent, you know what I mean? They're survivors, man, they're pretty much survivors. My mother's never worked any day job, and she's just somebody that just, tries different things, and she managed to raise all this entire family, you know what I mean?
Yeah, big up to Zambian women, man. Those women are strong.
Yeah, no, she's my hero, man. She's an amazing woman, man.
Wonderful women. Wonderful women.
Yeah.
So now, how does it then go from... what changes between, because when you start off with a project, you're going in, and it's now 4 years in 2012. What changes to now make this a primary focus? Or maybe let's start off with the other projects that you've worked on. Can you maybe just give us a rundown of some of the other projects that you've sort of...
I started this project when I was back in school, you know what I mean? I was just in drama, and I've always been in drama, man, since when I was young, man.
It was a calling.
When I was actually young, and they would ask me to write the drama for Good Friday and things like that, and all of those things. So responsibility for me has actually been...
so it started right there.
It started right there. So what used to happen, when I was doing this soccer thing, and I was doing, when I was working in Lumwana Mine, all these things that I'm doing actually became a distraction to what I did. So you remember, I never spoke about the project in between, because now I even forgot what exactly I was inspired about, you know what I mean? Which is actually doing a movie on KK. So it went quiet at that time. So when I realized, it's like, let me get back to film. Like, that's one thing that I know. If I'm not doing it, I'm not happy about anything. When I was in the mine, I could make all the money I can ever think of, you know what I mean? But I just never got this satisfaction. That's how I knew to say, it's not really making about money for me, but doing that thing that I actually pretty much love doing. So I started out a project. I started doing projects. There's a project called Bad Conduct. It was pretty much a movie in college. These gangsters guys in college, bad boys from rich families, and pretty much this guy who had an army background, and he came in, he just wanted to advance his...
What was the plot? Is it a Zambian
It was
character?
a Zambian story, Zambian character actually. He's a friend of mine, the movie writer, Samuel Tukumani, he was supposed to play that role. He's a friend of mine. So we started just like a joke, you know what I mean? So I could use my own money, get people on set, cast, direct, do pretty much everything. And he could write, he would co-direct with me, so it was just me and him, and we do this thing, we're amazed, you know what I mean? So we tried out about 3 projects. Bad Conduct, A Man's World. It's a Christian movie. Like, basically, when I started out movies, I want to, like, that's my prime goal right now. I want to start telling, real life events on the basis of believers, Christians, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, basically in that direction, where I'm not basically praying or whatever, but pretty much when you look at a movie like I'm in love with the church girl. that kind of transformation, real life events and how what people are going through, that was like my standard goal. So I tried three projects, didn't work. So I remember this time I was shooting. There's a place where we used to buy some food, just a small place. They used to do some fries and things.
Where was that?
Just basically opposite, just at the, there's this school, what you call it, opposite every known, there's this tourism school.
Okay. Uh-huh.
There's a tourism school that I just forgotten the name.
Right.
So we used to shoot there. So we could go down where we used to buy some stuff. So that gentleman used to see me every time bringing the guys to eat, so he could see what I'm doing. So there's a day I'm buying some food, but I was absent-minded. So he just struck the conversation with me and said, man, what's up, bro? You look distracted because I'm this jovial guy, like all the time. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad,
Yeah.
So like, this is unlike you, what's going on? So I started explaining to him, I was like, I don't know how, but I know this is the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, and I just can't get that kick to say I'm doing the right thing or not. I've tried this project, I've done this project, so I didn't even expect, he wasn't that. That's why they say you don't judge someone by looks.
Yeah.
He wasn't someone that I felt can give me, like that kind of wisdom that actually I got from that time that actually changed my life. I don't even remember his name actually. It was just that guy, Uncle. We used to call him Uncle. So he told me, it gave me an illustration of life that actually even up to now I still use, and it has actually gotten me this far. So he get a can of Coke, and walked out of his tuck shop, and he put it on top of a small side office, just this side, and he told me to say, "Do you see where that canned Coke is? When we try to strike it down with stones, we need at least about over 40 stones to hit it."
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I said, why is that important to me being distracted? And there was a car parked on the other side, and they said, when we get that car, put it on the same location, we only need one stone to hit it. Do you know the difference? You're passionate about it. You are very vigilant. You're fast. You love to get things done. But this is what you're doing. These projects that you're actually doing are like that candy cup. They're too small to be noticed. That's why you need a lot of stones to be hit. But if you can pick up one huge, big idea, the only responsibility that you need is to carry it off the ground and put it where you can hit it. Then hitting it, you only need one stone.
Wow.
So I was like, what exactly do you mean? So he told me, it's not you that have a problem. It is the things that you're trying to tell that do have a problem. I love the fact that you're telling these stories in college and things like that, but find something meaningful that you can tell. And I laughed and I told him, say, this is like God speaking to me, because I've neglected one huge idea that I'm supposed to be doing as a responsibility. Way back, I was supposed to do a movie on Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, and it got hard, so I just put it aside for little things that I know can be done easily. You understand? So he told me, try to go back to that project and see if you can pull it off. So what you're basically doing, you are struggling to get it off the ground. It's heavy. But when you put it up there, it only needs one stone. You get it? It only needs one stone.
So in this, in the 4 years that you had been, let's say 2008 is when you picked up the project.
Putting up a project at that year,
So this is just the birth of the idea.
Just the birth of the idea, you know what I mean?
What gave birth to that idea?
What gave birth to the idea is an interesting story. When I was in school, like I said, I was a problematic guy, and that's how I knew that I'm good at organizing things. When I organized a riot, it would end up on news. The Cafe boys did this, Cafe boys did that. Like I was pretty much good, you know what I mean? Like I could be home doing something, but I'll be, talking to the boys that I can organize a riot on my phone, and it's going to be awesome. You know what I mean? So there's a time meals became so bad in school, and a lot of kids began to complain, especially the new grade 8s and things like that. So for me, I had no problem. Not until I constantly hate kids complaining about it. It's like, you know what? This is not good, man. Let me do something about it. So I took my boys and we went in the school farm, and we had maize like just up knee level, you know what I mean? And we took slashers and we slashed out all the maize out of the school farm.
Okay.
And the school said, we know you're problematic, but this one, we're getting you arrested.
Wow.
That's how they got me arrested. So something amazing happened. We were in Seoul, the 5 of us, and we slept in this house. And the next time, the school management came and they told us, if you vow not to be problematic, we're going to release you, and we're going to call your parents, possibly even expel you and see what happened. You know, they gave us a deal, you know what I mean? So I said, no. My friends said, yes, no problem. They just wanted to leave the house. I told them, you know, as long as the meals don't change, I'm going to get there and be a problem again. I was that kind of problematic and stubborn.
Right.
So my friends went, and 2 hours later, the administrator herself came in, and she called me by my last name, Mr. Kasonde, we've heard your complaint, and the meals will change for the better. And that's how I was released, and I went to my dormitory. So I slept that day. The following day, I went to, we had a game. We were playing, I think we were in Osaka, Then we came back a little bit later on the 18th, and somebody told me kids have been coming looking for you here. I was like, what is the problem? I was like, I don't know, but they'll be back. So I'm seated, then they came in, they had a packet of sugar, some eggs, pretty much just, you know, basic food that you need in the boarding, you know what I mean? So I was like, what is this? So they said, no, we heard what you did and what you went through. Today the meals were amazing in the DH.
Oh, wow.
So we just wanted to come and say thank you for what you did for us. I was like, okay, didn't take much, didn't even think about it. So I got those things because pretty much kids could bring stuff for me, you know what I mean? I was very cool with kids.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking like it's one of them. So I laid down and I realized it's like, wow, what has just happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I took from that is that I saw myself like a freedom fighter. Fighting for these young guys, you know what I mean? So the gratitude that I got from somebody who's an underdog as better as the great 8 coming back to me and say thank you for what you did for us, I felt so great. So I was thinking in my mind, who do I owe such kind of a feeling? You know what I mean? So I didn't answer that question that day. A few days later, it was KK's birthday, and I'm watching TV in the entertainment, and there was a journalist going around. There was a documentary done actually. I even found the guy that actually did the documentary yesterday.
Wow.
He's actually on board. His name is Limbi. He's based in Kenya, but he's a Zambian.
Oh wow!
He's the one that did the documentary. That was in 2008. You know what I mean? So the people were in the street on Monday saying, "No, Kiki being interviewed. Kiki is an amazing man. He's a father of the nation. He's great." So in my mind, it struck me. I was like, if this guy is this great, how come we haven't done a movie about him? We haven't appreciated him in an extraordinary way, you know what I mean? Other than like Independence and Freedom Day, he knows he owes those people. It's like on a birthday when someone gives you a present, you feel like you know what I mean? Like it's your responsibility for being given those things, you know what I mean? But someone from the Bruce just calls you, hey man, I just thought of just sending you some money, and you check your bank account, and it feels like out of the extraordinary. Like that's what I felt when the young people came to me. So I was thinking, okay, what can I do for the old man? Then boom, that's when I said, okay, I'm gonna write a book. Thinking of it, how many people read in Zambia? Let me do a movie. So what inspired me to do a movie isn't that I was envisioning myself to be in the film. It was from the inspiration of desperation to say there's this thing that I need to do. So it's like you realize, oh, okay, I'm supposed to go in town. Then you start thinking of ways now to go to town. So the inspiration of being a filmmaker actually was birthed from this particular thing. You know what I mean? So 4 years later, what used to happen, I left my inspiration to try and do it outside my inspiration. That's why it didn't work out. So it took for me to actually come back to what it all started about. Like I said, the inspiration of desperation. This is the thing where have you noticed how creative you become when you're broke? It is not like you've got a choice.
You make a plan.
Rent is kicking out, the landlord needs money. Then that's how you know there are certain things that you can actually sell in a house. You know, you become a sales marketing. So it's an inspiration of desperation. Other than that, you become lazy and you're unproductive.
Complacent,
So basically, that's what basically happened. So my inspiration of being a filmmaker was particularly for one reason, that is to do this movie. That is why it can take me the next 15 or 20 years. I still need to do this because it is not being a filmmaker that I'm worried about. It is me not doing this particular aspect. So I feel like I'm that grade 8 that goes to the old man and said, I know there are a lot of great filmmakers out there, but I just want to do it for you.
So let's go through the process of you getting that inspiration, seeing KK on the television, and then you going through the process of now putting everything together. How does that all come about?
That is the hardest part and the most amazing part, I would say. You know, I'm just drumming. I'm a drummer guy. I can act. You know, I'm this last person, even in church. You know, what is for a certain program, you're waiting for other people to come by, and there's that moment of silence. They just tell me, hey, go in.
And you have to.
Who can just kick in and, you know, I'll do it, the stand-up comedy. I'll come up with something, and people will be like, how long have you prepared this? I'll be like, no, it just came in now.
Oh,
you know
wow.
what I mean? So I knew to say, me transitioning from drama to being a filmmaker is not something that I have to stretch. You know, Les Brown says, how do you know something is, how do you know this is what you're destined to do? You know what you're destined to do when it's easy to do, but amazing to the world. So I could do something that people really find amazing. I just, in a strike, I'll be like, okay, this is what I did and came up with. You know what I mean? So I started evolving, teaching myself film. You know, I've never been to film school. So I could just go and Google who is a filmmaker, who is a writer, who is an author.
And a lot of people are pretty much self-taught, or they train themselves in a lot of these skills, and they're amazing at a lot of this work.
Exactly, man. And most of the profound people that I've actually met, you know, they never went to film school. You know what I mean? That's what is amazing. So it actually gave me that morale and motivation to say, I can do it. You know, I started looking at people like Tara Perry, who sold his house, started sleeping in the car just to make sure that he finances his first Madea play, you know what I mean? So I knew to say I'm not the only one, you know what I mean? I started looking at people like Stevie Harvey, started looking at people like, you know, Will Smith, people who came from a different background and just landed to be where they are now. So I wasn't looking for inspiration in Zambia, you know what I mean? Because I knew what I'm looking for, what I'm trying to do is not right here at home. That is why where we are now. The people that are supposed to be inspiring me to be where I am are calling me to say, look, we want to be on a movie, we want to get a role, because I was looking for a different inspiration.
Right.
So I'm in this space where you need to learn, but you also need to see how best you can beat the people who've been there for quite some time. So I need to do things differently.
Yeah.
My mindset, number one, has to be on point. So I started reading. I've read over 400 books and counting. So I gotta think differently, even though I'm learning from this, but I gotta think differently. So I started, you know, raising my mental capacity. So in that direction, that way, I know to say I might be here, but I'm not right here. My mind is somewhere else.
So let's maybe just go back to the process. So when you started out, you had the inspiration came about. You then see Mandela is not Mandela, sorry, KK.
Yeah.
You see KK's birth. This is now his birthday, and you're saying that. And it's important that we document some of these things, because if you look at, like I was explaining to you before we started the interview, you get a sense that there isn't a place or a wealth of knowledge that you can tap into at any given point to learn about your history, about our history. It's something that's been lacking a little bit.
Yeah, we don't have information.
We don't, yes. And so it's vital that we start documenting some of these things, especially since we still have our fathers around. It's important that we document these things. And that, which is why I've got excited about the interview, about this project, because I think it's something that's important, and it's something that every Zambian needs to play a part in. So what I want us to then take the people through the journey of where it started, how it came about, and then where it is now, and how people can actually offer their support. Obviously there are critics, and then there will be people who will be praising on the other hand. So I want us to give a bit of a balanced sort of overview for everyone. We'll just pause here for a second. It looks like he wants us to pause for a bit. So I guess my question...
change the battery?
Yeah, it's changing the battery. Okay. He'll cut all of this stuff out. It's fine. So... Should we wait?
Yes.
You can carry...
I thought he was going to move along.
So can he answer the question? Is it fine to take the question?
Okay, you can take the question.
So you're saying?
So my like I was saying, the it's vitally important for us to document a lot of these things, and then have your journey as it continues from where it started, the inspiration, what processes went into place to sort of bring it to life, and how as Zambians we can all support you in getting this vision, to bringing this vision to life.
To life, yeah.
So we're basically looking for your guidance on this one.
Okay, beautiful.
Now, we start off with the inspiration. What's the process now from that moment? You see KK's birthday, what happens then to now bring it to a point where things actually start happening, where things turn around from 4 years in, you are busy slogging in, pushing things, and then something changes and the project starts gaining momentum. I want to get that essence. What was that?
So I'm there. So I'm thinking, who do I owe, that feeling? Because I have felt it, you know what I mean? That's what the sitting time, somebody once told me, you said, don't ask for direction for people who've never been where you want to go, you know what I mean? So I've been there. Like the feeling was amazing. It wasn't about the sugar, man. You know what I mean? I was a big boy in school. People could bring me stuff. I was a football captain. People need favors, need a word. You know what I mean? So it wasn't really being about the sugar. It was the motive behind what was running through the mind of the kids. So I was like, no, I owe somebody this feeling. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a movie. You know what I mean? I wrote it down. I'm going to do a movie. It's going to be in dollars. You know what I mean?
So when you say wrote it down, you just wrote that sentence down.
I wrote it down.
Okay.
Wrote it down. And from that, I got busy because it was at the end of the year 2008. The next year, I'm going to be writing my grade 12. So we became busy with the school and things like that. So I didn't do much in that shape. Then when I got done, I am at home. Then I'm like, okay, cool. Now I'm free. Let me start doing this. So I started doing a little bit of some piecework here and there just to keep myself moving, a little bit of businesses kicking in. But meantime, I'm building myself. I'm building myself. After that, I started earning some money. So what I'll do, I'll get the money that I make, push it in. Like that's how crazy I've been.
So when you say push it in, what are you pushing in?
Investing into the production now.
All right. So what's happening with the production at that stage?
At this stage now, what is happening is that like any guy, I think, okay, it's a big project. I can start with this project. Because people advise me, no, just start do something that can give you some credibility so that when you're going to people with this big project, you'll be like, I'm the man who made Bad Conduct and the one who made A Man's Life, those kind of things, you know what I mean? So I was like, I think that makes sense. So I said, okay, the big project can wait a little bit. I started working on this with my people. So it was doing everything. I found it, I'll write it, I'll direct it. My friend could also co-direct and could also write. He was more of a writer than I was. So we could do that, you know what I mean? We push, but pretty much we were not getting anywhere. That's when it gets back to a point where now I got stuck and I go to the gentleman that I used to buy some food from. It was not until after we made two attempts on other projects, and this one I was like so sure. I was like, this one is going to make sense. You know, this one is going to make sense. This one's going to make sense. So when I got stuck right there and there, I dropped everything. When he told me that, I dropped everything and I got back on track with the main project. I was like, okay, where was that? So I feel in my friend, my partner at that time, because he didn't know about the KK project. I told him this is it, and he was a little bit more conversant with me on film because he was a writer, and he told me, man, you can never make such a movie, nothing less $1 million, bro. For 5 months, put me $2 million. And I told him, man, I'm looking at a $20 million project. He's like, bro, man, I'm always with you, man. Look at what I have to be doing, man. I'm always with you, man. But this thing, man, is crazy. It's not possible. I said, anyway, but let's do it. So I got him up. I started giving him information. We started going to the museums. Started going wherever we can get
this
information.
Is still 2012.
So this is now. We've jumped. This is late 2012 now.
Right,
late 2012, about to go into 13. We're about to go into 13. 13, I started doing up a little bit of my business. And actually in the same space, because right after just left school, a little bit late 2010, that's when I went to the mines.
Right.
I stayed there. I didn't stay there much time. I only worked, I think, in the space of 6 months, 8 months.
All right.
The contract was done. Then I came back. So when I came back, I had some money with me. I started my business. So I was in a position where I don't have to wait for anybody to be creative. So I'll get the people from wherever they are, bring them on location, we start shooting in there. So I still have some, you know what I mean.
And at the time, when it comes to the project itself, what are you shooting?
At that time for project, nothing is going on.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because now we did the retreat.
Right.
It's a big movie there. So for somebody to give you respect you need, bro, do a little bit of things locally. Then
So at that time, you're focusing on the other
these
projects.
two projects,
All right,
yes,
okay.
these
All
two
right.
projects, you get a sense.
Got you.
So,
Got you.
you know, that kind of thing, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Okay, when I do this show, it'll be easy for me to do a big show like Oprah show, you know what I mean? Like that's what is running in the back of my mind.
Right.
Like that's the advice I actually got. For me, I wanted to go in straight up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
believe I can do it.
Let's go. Let's go. Yeah.
So we're doing that, man. And that very day, I remember it was late because we were supposed to sell the movie. We're supposed to sell the movie next year, and you know, so I'm stuck, man. I need more fans to finish the production. And there's post production. There's a lot of things. There's marketing, and I can't see anywhere I can get the money, man, because I've been doing it myself. I'm like, okay, what is this, man? So I spoke to him. That conversation. I went home. I did the most painful thing that I could do at that time. Calling up my crew, telling them we're shutting down the project. We don't have fans to continue. You know what I mean? I could look these people in the eyes because I told them I'm going to take you somewhere. I know that you're talented, but I want to take you somewhere different. You know what I mean? That's the commitment I made. You know, so I did that. It was very painful, but I did that. Then I started regrouping on the project now. So it's now 2013, and I'm looking around. I'm thinking, okay, so things are getting bad now. Business is down. Business is down. So I strive, pushed through 2013, March I wasn't done. 2014, my parents at some point almost made sense. It's like, so you see, if you went to school, you'd have gotten a job. I'm like, So I got some money, the money that I actually had and paid for my school. My brother helped me. I went back in school. My older brother, he helped me with some monies. I went back in school to do auto electric. It was actually a course that I got by mistake. I told my brother, go get some forms for me. I want to do auto electric. He thought I said power. I actually needed power electric.
Right.
He went there and he collected power, auto electric papers. But anyway, I didn't want to do it. So I did that. I'll do whatever it is I can do. And I just wanted to kill some time. So I got in school, but I'm still researching about KK. Tomorrow I've got an exam. I'm on YouTube learning about KK. People never used to understand. You know what I mean? They kicked and then I went to this church. And I met this lady called Pastor Dana. She's a creative. She's an amazing person, man. She brought this man that you're seeing today out of life. So the combination of her and my spiritual father, Apostle Joshua Marlon, and they meant it, man. They told me, man, you can do anything, man. Everything that you say you can do as long as you believe. It's like, right, this is the right environment. So she became my partner. We started pushing, and all of a sudden we were up and running, doing interviews. We started interviewing people the likes of, we interviewed over 40 freedom fighters. The late Mama Betty herself, Honorable Scott Owina, and Dr. Vernon Mwanga. Then we're talking to these guys. Before I met KK, Before I met Kiki, you know what I mean? So I'm talking to these guys, no, we're doing this, it's amazing, and the momentum begins to grow. Okay, there's these guys doing this. I go to the big guys at that time, Asmoape and Stevo. Dude, I want you to direct. Dude, I want you to play KK. Is it? Okay, cool, let's do this. We're pushing the project in there, pushing the project.
This is what...
This is now we're getting momentum. This is like now 2015 now.
Right.
This is now 2015 because now I got a backup of my pastor now, So now things look like, okay, these guys know what they're doing, you know what I mean? Started bringing up people on board, doing this, doing that, like momentum. It feels like, okay, now I can do this, man. So from I would say, because right there until 2012, that's when I started knocking on doors to say, hey, I want to do the movie on an old man. No, it's not in the office. No, it's seat. No, it's lab. So all this while, I've been going this side. So I'm telling people I'm doing a movie. I haven't met the person that I'm actually doing a movie to. But I'm confident in them say, don't worry, we're doing this movie. The family is aware. I was like, yeah, they're aware. Because I know I've been knocking.
Yeah.
They know about me.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, they're aware. I was that bored. And I was like, they ask. Who wants to ask anyway? These guys are not. So 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
I got my endorsement in 2017.
Oof.
So for something that I chased for close to like seven years, I'm in church. That's what we tell people to say, stick around your home churches, just be active. I'm writing plays for a church. I'm doing drama. I'm doing anything that you can ever think of that is creative. I'm dancing. I'm doing everything. So there's this lady that was close friends with the lady I'm talking about, my youth pastor, Pastor Dana, called Mrs. Mwansa, Jacqueline Mwansa. So she told me, no, talking of what? You guys been struggling, you want to meet the old man. Do you know that my mother-in-law is actually like a daughter in the house of KK? They actually did their wedding in the same house. They're like a daughter, you know what I mean? So Mrs. Mwansa, she's the owner of SBM shops. And she also owns the trademark of KK jackets. She's the one that produces those KK jackets, the safari suits. So she said, you know what, let me introduce you to my mother-in-law. That very day we left church and we went. And she set up a meeting with her the following day. So I went there. Crap. I didn't have enough transport, man. I had to move from where I used to stay. I walked there, man. Yeah. For this meeting, man. In a suit, all sweaty. Stand a little bit on the shade just to cool down, you know. Then I went in, and, you know. So I met this person. She's a good leader. She's an amazing leader, man.
Okay, so let's put a pin there. No?
Yeah.
All right. So just before we broke a bit, you were telling us about Jacqueline Miller Mwansa.
Exactly.
Right, and how she got you introduced into with the family and all of that. What I really want to maybe just quickly touch on is we said earlier. Just 1 second. I just want to adjust your mic. Just to.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Seems better.
I think I can hear you better now. Good. So you mentioned that there was one person who had already done a documentary on KK, and what other documentaries had been done before you jumped onto this project, or what kind of work?
No, just that one. That's pretty much not. It wasn't a documentary to say documenting his life. It was a documentary celebrating his life.
Right.
His birthday, his 88th birthday. That was
okay.
8, right?
All right.
Should be somewhere around that time, yeah. So, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, it was celebrating his birthday. So before celebrating his birthday, showing him to make a speech, you go on the street, ask people, how do you think about KK? So people are saying he's amazing. So it wasn't pretty much documenting the history. No, it was pretty much doing something just to celebrate him.
So you're going to be including those snippets as well in the documentary, in the movie.
Documentary are basically just going
in the movie.
People,
sorry, yeah.
No, in the movie we're actually, I'm sure we'll get there, but it's pre-independence.
Yeah.
They're shooting from the day he was born to the day he became president, so it's nothing.
Oh, I see. Right. So this is another thing I wanted to actually clarify. We clarified that it's not a documentary; it's a movie. It's a movie,
but there will be a documentary
which will be separate from the movie.
Yeah, separate from the movie. So there'll be some sort of a marketing tool to help say, so this is KK.
Right.
Let me watch the movie.
Okay, so now the movie itself, it's focusing. I think what I've gathered from the different sources is that it's going to be documenting his journey as growing up from being
from birth, actually.
birth, coming up to becoming a teacher, and then moving into politics, and then becoming president. At what point does it end?
It ends on inauguration day.
On the inauguration. Okay. So that whole process is what we are going to be experiencing from his perspective, or are we watching this from a third eye view?
So pretty much it's from him and the third perspective, because we had to interview people who actually worked with him. We even interviewed people who didn't like him. We interviewed people, his family, friends, so that we get the whole entire perspective of who he is and
Just a quick one on the people who didn't like him. I think it's important that you are actually talking to people who are on both sides of the fence. Can you give us examples of people who you've spoken to who didn't like him that you will be including in the movie?
We don't have many names precise, but this is just people who you find these people. I was young. I was very young at that time, but I didn't like KK because I didn't do this. There's certain other families that actually don't like KK apparently. You know what I mean? So we could also talk to those guys, because when you're telling a story, you want to make sure you hear both sides, so that you can just. We want to tell him as a human man. We want people to have compassion for him. You know
and what would be some of the reasons that they would be giving for not liking KK?
In most cases, I think it's the reason I'm doing a movie is that. There's this thing, there's KK pre-independence and KK post-pre-independence. So there's certain things like any other leader, you know what I mean? There's certain things that didn't sit right with people during his governance that they feel, it's a reason we don't like him. You know what I mean? But I don't feel they felt the same way before independence. You know what I mean? So what I'm doing, there's these stories that we found during Chiluba's era. You know, Keke is a dictator, Keke is what, Keke is this, you know what I mean? So I was like, you know what? Let me start from first. We tell this story the right way, the way it is. We don't change anything. We go to the next one. We keep telling the story the way it is. Then people will be able to choose if they still hate this man or they still like this man, because at the end of the day, it's the people's choice. But what happened is that the bad side of KK was imposed on us. We don't even know exactly what he did, but people just say, no, he's a bad man, he was a bad man, he was a bad man. So after talking to the people, when you talk to somebody who's 15 and above, it's a different story. He was amazing. He was this guy. When he speaks, when what? So it was pretty much the conflict of the young people hate KK and the older ones love him. And I'll be like, who do I want to trust?
And I guess a lot of it would probably be that lack of knowledge that we were talking about, where people don't have...
because there's no information in the public domain where you can go to, like we're saying, to say, this is on KK and... There's nothing. There's just pretty much basic, just a simple history telling you he was born in this, his father's from Malawi, he's doing this, Nyasaland, you know, all those things, but there's no depth in information regarding our history. You know?
And is this the type of project that you want to now be doing on all of the presidents as well, or is this something that's just specific to
So pretty much is that, I want to do as much stories that I can do, but I'm not only looking at politically. After this project, I actually started a project on Christophe Gatongo called the Gabon Victory. So he is a missing link between the Gabon disaster and the Gabon victory. So he's going to be 11 years old when the disaster happened in 1993.
Wow,
and the nation goes in tears, and he promises his mother, like, I'm going to grow up to be a football captain and I'm going to get that cap. And they went back to the same place where the tragedy happened.
Wow, yeah. Kalusha was leading.
Yeah, Kalusha was actually the president for FAS at that time.
Yeah.
So...
Wow.
So I'm just
gonna
basically into telling epic stories about our nation. We are a beautiful nation that I believe we've got a lot of stories that we can tell.
Just not told.
You know, Inshallah story. Inshallah was actually done, but it didn't do much because the marketing wasn't so much. It was a good production, but the marketing wasn't so much. You know what I mean? So it's a reason I actually shifted my focus to the international aspect. You know what I mean? So that we can be celebrated. You know what I mean? We can't speak from the dark. You know.
Yeah.
You might have a good story, but you can't speak from the dark. So I said, let's step out. So, yeah.
Now I know that you've had to answer this question a lot, so I'm not going to ask it the same way.
Yeah.
Where people are telling you, why are you approaching an international artist to do a role that's supposed to be for? Yeah. And you've sort of pretty much addressed that to a large extent, where you've explained, look, we are at the end of the day, you want to have somebody who's recognizable at the front. That's going to then bring everybody up. So the way I'm going to ask this is with just maybe explain that first to the audience that says, why would you want to use because I would do it injustice if I try and explain it. So why do you use a foreign actor? Why would you choose a foreign actor? There's been mentions of your Timon, Will Smith has been mentioned in the same, Idris Elba have all been mentioned in the same sort of light. Can you give us some kind of clarity? First of all, is the role sealed? Has the role been taken? And then where are we sitting in terms of getting the movie coming together? Because let me allow you to just answer that one.
Okay,
quickly.
So people have been having a problem saying, and in most cases it actually comes from way back, the experience that we have here. Idris Elba played Mandela and things like that. So it is not really because they don't want us to use somebody from outside, but they feel degraded saying we have our own people here that can play the role right. I know we have our own people that can play right. But film outside telling stories, number one, is a business. You understand? Number one, you have to make returns. Then secondly, there are certain platforms that you can go to. They need certain requirements. That's one of the things: who's directing your movie, how big is your story, and who is acting. So looking at the standard at where we say this movie is where we want to put it, it doesn't allow us to get a Zambian to play that role.
Right.
How is that so? Why I want to explain this so smoothly that people get to understand that when we talk about Hollywood, we're not talking about America. You can be an American, but it doesn't make you Hollywood.
Right.
Because Hollywood is an environment that has been created by different artists from different walks of life. So we've got Lupita Nyong'o. She's African from Kenya, but she's a Hollywood star right now. Jaimon Aunso himself, we're talking about, is from the West Africa, but is a Hollywood star. So Hollywood is an environment that has been built for over 300 years with different characters from different parts of the world. So us saying no, we can do it on our own and compete on Hollywood is not being realistic and not using our minds. You know what I mean? You can't compete with something that has been in existence for the last 300. And we're talking about the people with the actual money, the people with the actual equipment, the people with the actual system that helps the production. So what we can do, just like any army, if you want to attack a certain ground, you send spies first. The only person that can tell you where you want to go is the person who's there. So what I'm telling Zambians is that we can't sit amongst us and start, telling ourselves to say we're going to grow amongst ourselves. No, it can't. It takes somebody inside to open the door for you. And that person is Jaimon. He's like a spy in a foreign land, and he has seen and he knows exactly what we need in order for us to to pick up our space and get to the next level. Look at South Africa. South Africa today can do movies like Blood and Water, Queen of Sono, make sales on Hollywood on Netflix. Actually, Blood and Water was one of the biggest movies in the world on Netflix.
Yeah.
Why? They've had a test of movies like Sarafina, where Whoopi Goldberg was, Long Walk to Freedom, Idris Elba, Invictus, The Broad Morgan Freeman, and many other movies. Over, I think about 8 or 10 movies that were done where they brought actors from outside. Why? So South Africa was exposed at an international market because one of their own. That's how Hollywood is. That is why I have filmmakers in Zambia, in America who are not Hollywood, because it's pretty much different. It's a different environment.
Right.
You get a sense. So that's a market that we are actually targeting because that's a world market in terms of entertainment. Yeah. Wherever you go, that's a world market. So we are saying, okay, we want to tell the story to the world. Which route do we take? Let's take to the world standards. What is the world standard? It's a Hollywood market. So we say, okay, no problem. Let's get one of theirs. That's the only way they'll be able to accept us. Let's get one of theirs, bring him amongst us. Then when we move that side, they're going to look at us and accept us because there's amongst one of them. That is how the system works. So when we say we are using the Hollywood stuff, we are only saying we need something that will give us entry to where we're going because you need a key. Every door has got a key and you need one. So you and me right now, we don't have that key. We don't even know how it works. So what do? What we do is that we get somebody that is amongst them and bring them and say, okay, these are the people that I'm working with. So when you are up there, the people are looking out to say, oh, this guy is amazing. The guy that acted Kapwepu is amazing. The guy that acted Mumbla is amazing. Oh, he's Zambian. Okay. The next time you show up, they do know you, even though without that guy. That's what South Africa did. So that's what we want to do. You know what I mean? That's what we want to do. So we want to get exposed to a certain place where when we try to stand alone, now people are able to know us. Like I can say, you can't get somebody you don't know and make them a brand ambassador for Coca-Cola. It doesn't make sense. You know, Caspar University is a brand ambassador for Samsung. Samsung knows to say, I need a face people know. So we are a product. Now we need a brand ambassador. In that, we can't pick amongst ourselves because Zambia is not a market. I know people can act. So we are not undermining people's ability to act.
To deliver the product.
We are actually doing them a favor. Most of these guys have been in the industry for the last 40 years. Where have they gone? Mushala movie was actually done and shot in Zambia. I have people in Lusaka who don't know that movie exists. Do you know why? It was an amazing production. The cast that made Mushala, it was amazing. Leo was amazing. But you know why the movie didn't go out? Number one. Number two, marketing. Number two, we don't understand the business aspect of this movie. For us to return, we're talking about the $28 million project. I can't risk it getting somebody. Those people out there, even the investors themselves, they want to know where the money is going. I can't get someone from nowhere and say, this is the guy where we're investing in. Because those people don't invest in stories, they invest in people.
True. All right. So, and this is confirmed. Who is actually
So
going to be?
basically, I wouldn't say this is what happened. When I brought Jaimon on board, I told him to say, I knew to say if I tell him I need him as an actor, I need to pay like 3 million, 5 million upfront just for to talk to him, to talk to the manager. You know, so I told him, this is an amazing story, but I don't have money. So I want you on board as an executive producer.
Right.
So now that you're an executive producer, I don't mind you playing the lead role.
All right.
You get a sense. So I'm getting the package knowing that, okay, I'm not supposed, because if it was just acting, I was supposed to pay even just to talk to him. But now, since he's part of it, it's part of the project is his baby now. So I told him, okay, so we also want you to play the lead role. I said, okay, no problem. But it needs to be, I don't play the role myself. I'll give it to the likes of Adri Suba, Jimmy Fox, or these many guys. But ideally, I'm just coming on board, giving him full support because I believe in Africa. I believe that we need to tell our own stories. So,
and when does this conversation happen?
It is just 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We had a long conversation,
Pretty
about
new.
2 hours. It was amazing, man.
Yeah.
I sat down in the Zoom meeting and I found him seated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he calls my name and I was like, okay, this is amazing. This is the guy now. You know, it was quite a bliss, and it is very amazing. He's very understanding. Apparently, he was the one who casted for Mandela in Long Walk to Freedom.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Something went wrong then. You know what I mean? So I did something, you know what I mean? I didn't even expect people to respond like that. I did a screenshot of the 6 guys that were supposed to pick from like the proposed actors, you know.
Okay.
There was Denzel Washington, there was him, there was Idris Uba, Will Smith, Daniel Kayalu, David Oyelowo, you know. And we said, which one do you want? I posted, which one do you want on the internet? And apparently the guy beat everybody. Of course, it was a little bit, the next person that was coming behind him was Idris Uba, then Will Smith, you know what I mean? But he got most of the points. And I realized, okay, this is amazing. And that was
just makes
before
sense.
I had a conversation with him.
Yeah.
So I was talking to this guy who said, okay, let me try to set up a meeting with him. So I was like, okay, let me try to see the test waters with our fans, because we usually allow our fans to actually choose a little bit things the same way we actually pick Mama Betty. Mama Betty is most likely going to be Zambian because we want to balance up the cast, you know what I mean? So they give it to him, and a lot of people are telling me, no, number one, this guy is amazing. Number two, he's African.
And then you did mention that the younger versions will be Zambian. Is that right?
Exactly, yeah. So we're going to have a toddler. We're going to have we're going to have a baby. We're going to have a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
We're going to have a 20-year-old, and then we're going to have the main character there. So
I
pretty
see.
much, it's
we are represented throughout anyway.
well, through 85% of the cast is going to be Zambian, man. So I don't know where our people not being used coming from. As a matter of fact, I'm doing our people.
The thing is, we don't. Sometimes we are victims of speculation. We are when there's no clarification that comes
Very
through
true.
from the other side. So I think it's important. That's why it's important for platforms like this, where you can actually express yourself and explain the entire process. So what's next? I know that there's currently a campaign. Before I get to the campaigns, actually, I've just remembered what I wanted to talk about. You are now sitting with all of this wealth of history, where you are talking to the struggle stalwarts, the people that actually went through the struggle.
Exactly.
How is this experience for you?
It's the most amazing thing I've ever done, man. You know, because I realize that it's a responsibility for everybody that has anything to give it up. You know, so after doing the research, I found out that there's a lot of gaps in our history. And the only way is to begin to rewrite it, relive it, and retell it. And the fastest way I could ever think of is actually telling a movie. You know what I mean? Put it in people's screens. Then I think when people watch, I think they can go back to a book and read. You know, but the problem is that I don't blame young people for not celebrating the history or our freedom fighters. You know, when you look at when you look at the Khoikhoi San, the Khoikhoi people, they cannot crave for ice cream they've never had. That's like a 20-year-old or a 15-year-old person. They don't know the taste of ice cream. It doesn't bother them. They watch Netflix. You know what I mean? They watch Jay-Z, they're inspired, they're amazed. So it pretty much shaped them. So for us to get a hold of young people who know nothing about our history, which we are actually losing, and losing a sense of history as a nation, It's the most scarce thing we can ever do as a people. You know what I mean? Because that's our identity. So what we can do, we peel off the wounds, show them how people died for the freedom that we have today. When they see that, they're going to look at independence, celebrate it the right way, not going to Bahamas or going to the beach to speed. You know, it's not supposed to be like that. We're supposed to be seated in independence and in celebrating, doing whatever it is that we used to do some time back. But now we don't do those things because people don't even know the importance. It's just like one of all those holidays. I'm waiting for independence to come so that I can,
Now you can grab some water. I can see you're struggling a bit there. It's fine. Yeah. What I want to, as you are going through these processes and speaking to these individuals, what sort of stuck out for you? What stuck out for you? Is there a particular moment or a particular story that sort of sticks out for you? That you're like, I never knew that. I wish I knew this before. Like, what instance or what moment would you say?
I'm back.
Would you say, welcome back?
I think hope I'm back. I'm back.
Inspiring story.
Imagine, man. I don't make sure I don't cough again.
You okay?
I think I can have another sip.
Another sip, yeah. All protocols are being observed. We are social distancing.
I can bring it to the
I think we need to maybe just get some hand sanitizer close by.
I choked in my own saliva, actually.
You're good. Take your time, man. Take your time.
I choked in my own saliva, monsieur.
Yeah, do you want to stand up for a bit?
I think I can take a walk. So that this COVID should wait. You should give me a minute to finish up.
And then it can.
Before it passed.
First, the movie needs to be out, and then we can say, no, okay, now you can do what you want, COVID.
Yeah.
You're right now.
I think I'm
Better.
better.
Awesome. So, I'll repeat the question. I almost started coughing myself. This was gonna be bad. So I'm gonna repeat the question.
You're 40 minutes in.
40 minutes in. Thank you. So, just to repeat the question, you've been sitting with these individuals,
exactly.
And you've been having conversations with these people. What stuck out to you in these conversations? Something that you feel like, I wish I'd known that.
So, there are two things actually. The two particular things that you'll be blown away by if I tell you. Number one thing is how these people conduct themselves. So here's the thing. We're talking about a team of most of the people, if you talk about people who went high in being learned, most of them are teachers. You know what I mean? And they don't know. They've never seen leadership being implemented until they saw the whites implemented.
Right.
So I'm looking at the profoundly view of how somebody teaches you something to a point where you beat them at it. So these guys, they never knew there's such thing as governance until they saw these guys govern.
And then
they team up. So there's one unifying factor about them, which is unity and ideologies. These are people that actually stood on personal ideologies. I'm going to get back to that to explain what that means. So at the point, there's a point where everybody was arrested. The whole entire team, freedom fighters, were arrested. And you know what? They knew to say, them being in the one space, these guys are going to be talking and they're going to be getting inspired and they're going to keep fighting. So they put them in different cities. Each one in each city. And they started going to one by one and say, you know, you're the only one remaining. Most of your friends have been paid off. We want to release you. We'll give you money. Go anywhere. You can go in South Africa. You can go anywhere. But just not here in Zambia. Stop making noise. And these guys said, if I'm the last man, let me be the last one to represent my brothers that have fallen short of that, of the glory.
Wow.
When they did that roundup, I wanted to realize that nobody gave in among the system. Everybody had us, you and me, in our minds. They were like, if we give in now, how does the future look like? How does the future look like for our young people? So they had us in mind every time, and the unifying factor was unity. They spoke with one voice. So as a team, they had a strong point of speaking as a team. Individually, they had personal ideologies that they stood up for. So I remember I got this story from Scott Owina. So when he told me that, he said, if everybody gave in, I was going to be the last one that stands in. You check, it's going to be the last one that stands in. Only to realize that everybody gave the same answer. So when you look at the quality of leadership, it doesn't start with what you want to do for the people. It has to start with what you want to do for yourself. Who are you? What do you stand on? What do you believe in? Let me tell you a story. The story that you're aware of, but you don't know exactly what transpired. You know that Kaunda is a vegetarian, right? And I'm sure by then you think it's a reason you wanted to live longer. That's why he stopped eating meat. That's not the reason why he stopped eating meat. He was very young at the time. It was like late 40s, late 30s to 40s when he stopped eating meat. There were two ladies, young ladies, that went to buy meat. And that meat was rotten meat in a butcher, in a white man's butcher. And they complained about the high price of rotten meat. They pushed. This meat is rotten and the price is just too much. This is not uncalled for. The white man left the counter and got the iron bar and manhandled the two ladies close to death. And when KK saw that, he said, I cannot eat that which my people can't afford. And now, he still doesn't eat that. It wasn't because he wanted to be healthy. So that shows you personal ideologies. Right now, if he ate meat, everybody will understand. Like, we got the freedom. He proved his point. But the fact that he made it loud and clear, he couldn't lie to nobody but himself. Even up to now, he has stuck to his word. How many people, how many leaders do we have today can stand on their word? Like I said, the unifying factor about these guys is, number one, the ideology. They stood for something. Somebody who stands for something, they don't shake for anything. And it goes the other way around.
Absolutely.
If you don't stand for something, you fall for anything.
And how has this experience changed you?
It's the reason I've gone 14 years and still doing this thing that I'm doing. So I know that I'm not the first one to do this. I'm not the first one to do crazy stuff. Look at this. We're talking about a man who's just an ordinary teacher and look where he is. Who gets up and says, I want to liberate my people. I want to be the president. How many teachers think of being just a manager for a company? This guy doesn't want to be an MD for Airtel or MTN. He wants to be the president. So it's not only recording our history in modern settings like film, but it's also an inspirational story.
Cool. And so what will it take to, what's next? Where do we go to next?
So right now, we are at a position where we need to kickstart our fundraising. We are putting teams in place.
There is a GoFund
There's actually a
page
GoFunding that's pretty much for the documentary. So we're supposed to start shooting a documentary as soon as yesterday.
Okay.
As soon as the funding, the team, the script, everything is in place. We just need to to kickstart it. So we want to use it for marketing purposes. So we can do this so that people can look forward to the movie. But right now,
so that there are two stages then. You're going to be starting off with the documentary, and
first,
then once the documentary is done, out of the way, out in the public, then you move on to creating the actual movie.
Yes. Although we are not stopping, pretty much we've got departments.
Right.
So we've got pretty much just a team that is just handling production. That is going to be handling production for the documentary.
Oh, okay.
So that way it doesn't interfere with what we're doing with the project. So the project continues, we continue moving, we continue making all the progress that we need, but we've assigned a particular team that is just waiting for funding. As soon as it hits, they know what to do. They'll give us a documentary in no time so that we can run the project simultaneously. But meantime, we know to say when this one is done, we quickly put it in the public.
And Netflix, how does that fit into the picture?
So Netflix, we had a chat with Netflix. My director here, Kalumba Gapisa, had a chat with our Netflix Inquisition manager. And They agreed to say, okay, what we can do, we will not fund the project, but what we can do is that we can be guaranteed for for a distribution deal when the movie is done, because we already know it's going to be a big movie and things like that. So we are already in talks with Netflix, and we are in some direction. So pretty much that's Netflix Africa. But I have a team in the US that is setting up a meeting with Netflix. Possibly any time from now. So we also want to hear about from Netflix and the US side and see if at all we can still, get to a deal where they get to fund the project as well.
So at the moment, the funding is still being...
at the moment we don't have funding. We don't have funding, but we're guaranteed to say, at least now that we're getting big names on board, I think the project is being viewed differently, and I think we are heading somewhere to happen.
I see. All right. So the GoFund page is is raising £10,000, right?
Exactly.
That's about 200K South African rand.
South African, but the
Zambian kwacha, just about 300 somewhere there.
Exactly.
I won't embarrass myself with mathematics. But in any case, so that is that's purely for the documentary.
Yeah,
is
just
that
for
right?
documentaries. Just for documentary.
Oh, okay.
Just for documentary.
And how can people offer their support aside from just going to and donating on the GoFund
So
page?
pretty much we're looking for all the great minds that we gain. All those people feel they're smart enough to get out by the ideas and get the money.
Yeah.
Because ideally I'm telling people to say, with time, definitely with time. Just like the same way we got a Hollywood star. We'll be able to get a Hollywood investor, and it's not going to look good for us. Because when those guys come in, they automatically are part of the creative aspect. So they're going to change a little bit of the things that we want to tell, which defeats the purpose why we're doing this. Because people from out there, I've been telling our story, and the reason they tell it the way they tell them is to make money. You'll be amazed that Idi Amin is not as bad as you know him. I know Ugandan brothers of mine who say, bruh, he's one of the greatest leaders we ever had. But we picked one particular aspect and told him, and we amplified it, and we described to say that is his caliber. You understand? And it has moved in history. So in most cases, they want to tell the bad side of Africa, then they make money out of it, because it's good to sell a bad story.
And just to clarify, you're not defending or putting any saying that the person or defending characters or in that space right now. You're just basically giving an example.
It's just an example. It's just an example of how the twisted thing. Like I do have. I'm saying this because I do have people. People have been offered $5 million to say we want to buy you off, and we want to tell that guy as a dictator. We're gonna sell. We're gonna make money. We don't care what you guys think about it. So already you see that these people don't have us in our minds. Because you know what? The world, the way it works, people who control media control the world. That is why today America has been perceived as the strongest, the most amazing part to be part of. You know why? Because of the movies we've watched. They've got Superman, they've got Iron Man, they've Spider-Man, they've got Hulk, they've got Captain America. They've got all these heroes. When you look at them, like they're just so amazing. Sending a message to you, to how you think. You know what I mean? And that's how it actually works. Even advertisement, like that's how it works. You know what I mean? That is why adverts are simple and straightforward, short, just to show you that everything is happening here. But that's not the case. You know what I mean? So that's what happens with media, even music, film telling. So Africa, if we want to change, if we want to grow, let's start telling our own stories, because that's the only thing we can ever sell out ourselves. That's our pride. One thing I respect about Nigerians is that they're Nigerian everywhere. You know, the Nigerian movies, Nigerian music, they don't twist their tongue for anybody. When the Nigerian enter here, you don't have to ask anybody.
You know.
But for these other countries like Zambia, these are the countries. It's pretty much difficult. Get a sense. So we need an identity. So Nigerians are very effective and aggressive because they know their identity. Even though we know they can be aggressive, they can be dangerous at times, but they're just amazing people because they don't hide it. You know what I mean? And the best way to solve a problem is confronting it. But if you're running away, then there's nothing we can do about it. So I feel that we need to stick our feet in the ground and just believe in who we are. Tell our own stories to the world, and that's the only way we're going to be appreciated. Look at our music, look at our film. It's never been appreciated because everything we tell is not original. It is difficult to sell something that is not original. If you are a musician and you sound like Jay-Z, brother, listen to Jay-Z, because I know there's somebody that is way better than what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you sound like Wizkid, I know that it's just you. This is just a Nigerian guy. It sounds Nigerian, and there's nothing complicated about it. I tell people to say it's difficult to move full speed if you're confused.
Yeah.
The only way to do it simple. Just
Clarity.
pick anything that is narrative, something that is to the roots.
Yeah.
And run with it and look at where we are. So the question is that how many people have been trying to make movies in Zambia? I'm not the greatest filmmaker I know in Zambia now. As a matter of fact, I only worked on 3 projects that didn't go anywhere. In fact, I only have this one particular project. Why am I the one that has to bring a Hollywood star to Zambia? Because the particular of the story that I'm telling, it's original. Everybody can buy it. It is difficult to sell something that is second-hand. You have to explain yourself.
True.
When I'm talking to these guys, I'm telling them it's a movie about the first president of Zambia. Walks in the same shoes of Martin Luther King, Malcolm
And everyone
X.
can relate.
And everybody can relate. They type him up, the guy comes up, is amazing. And I don't have to stress. Why?
Yeah.
Simplicity.
True. And when are we likely to see the project on Netflix?
On the market.
Yeah.
So the project, most likely, we're looking at early days of next year. We're looking at pretty much. So ideally, this is what we want to do. We want to tie the story. We want to tie the movie to this independence celebration. So what we're actually planning to do, if we can take off with the movie now, shoot it. We can keep it until 24th October next year, so that every time we do the commemoration of independence, we can also remind ourselves to say there's a movie that was done, to commemorate the independence itself, so that we tie the bolts and nuts regarding our history, so that people can actually sit and watch and enjoy the space we have as Zambians, and Africa as a whole. So it's pretty much in that direction. So we need all the great minds that we can. Right now, we need to make sure that we get a meeting with the president, because it's going to help us a lot in order for us to get the funding that we need. So if we can get our own funding, if we can raise the entire money in Zambia, which I believe I know we can do, because I've seen projects being funded which are $100 million in Zambia. So why not we sacrifice for our own people?
Movie project?
Not really. Any other project, you know what I mean?
All right, okay.
Any other project, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why not we do it for the old man? Why not we do it for him and the team? You know what I mean? So that we can celebrate the first generation with that heart to say we trust and are grateful with what you guys did for us. Because the freedom that we have today, especially for people in the political arena, they were given that baton, man. It costed a lot of bloodshed for us to be where we are now. There should be the same people to consider and say, let's do it for what? For our predecessors, the people that actually, give us this opportunity to be where we are now. So it's a responsibility for every Zambian, wherever you come from, that we make sure that we put this into documentation and let these young people get to learn where we are coming from. There's a saying that says, a man who doesn't know where he's going should at least know where they're coming from. So as a people, we don't know where we're going because the clear is not defined enough, and yet we don't know where we're coming from. So we're pretty much stuck in between. That's what we young and inspired people, So Kiko was inspired enough to move from being a teacher to being a president. But we've got young people who are 22 right now, and it looks like there's nothing that will ever happen with his life, and he's given up. Why? Due to the lack of inspiration. I tell people to say, when leaders stop inspiring, followers begin to expire. Because you can't see way beyond where your leaders have even gone to. You know what I mean? So somebody that you're actually following is come to stuck. They're no longer moving. They are less inspired. So you begin to expire. You begin to try and do anything that you see about. But when you look at the time of KK, the likes of Kamoju Banda and Jomo, Haile Selassie, Samana Machel, Julius Nyerere, these guys were inspired. They spoke with one voice. Whatever one says, he spoke for everybody. And they stood about that. And that's the only thing that we never see today. Why? Because people will stand for selfish reasons. If you can't stand against yourself, you can never stand against the world. That's what people tell me.
True, man.
So pretty much that.
Yeah, true. And I think so. Just so to kind of start wrapping it up, what sort of final words would you have? I'm definitely looking forward to the project. I want to really see it, and like I mentioned to you beforehand, there will be behind the scenes sort of footage that we would love to come and start taking when you're shooting. So what I want us to do is maybe just try and involve the audience as much as possible. But what would be your final words in terms of that? So that footage, I think everyone can sort of expect it as we go. This edition is going to be going out in April. This will be the April edition. But then we will be releasing snippets of the interview and all of that leading up to the actual release. So when we publish the edition, that will be in April, and what I want to hear from you is, as people are going to now be looking forward to the interview, what should they expect from the movie? What should they be looking forward to? What's your parting words for the project?
So basically, what they should expect in a movie is a story of a boy from Lubwa Hills, small boy. He grows up to be a teacher, living and teaching amongst the Bemba ethnic groups, and it's just going by like any other young man. And one of his friends, someone Mansakapupu, comes back and is like, dude, responsibility calls, man. Let's go start politics, man. People need us. And he's like, nah, man, I don't need the drama, man. It just comes with a lot of drama, you know, politics.
And these are things you wouldn't think that you would hear from.
Because we're actually telling him as a human being, he's not a Superman. You gotta see the days that he wanted to give up, the days that he wanted to drop the button, the days that he's running away from responsibility, you know. So he goes in and realizes, and he's actually walking on the streets, and he realized, and a certain incident that actually reminds him. So there's a white man that is driving past him and his bar and Simon, and it's a part of yogurt of mud that splashes on them, and the white man just drives off and doesn't care. You know? So after that incident, we realized, you know what? I think we need to do something about it. These guys that just don't care. You know, I think we need to care for our people. You know what I mean? So that's when they jumped into politics. He was introduced, and he started running that front. And from there, he became so vested in the vision that when it get to a point where they had to part ways with his leader, Animwanga Nkumbla, because he felt that he became, I'd say, you know, a little bit biased and started, you know, being seen in meetings with whites and things like that, and being a little bit corrupt in that direction. So he said, no, we're standing for the people. I respect you, but I respect my people more. So they part ways, they started another party, and that's how they went from that up. So it's pretty much an amazing story. The struggle, when you hear about the struggle, is not the struggle really about the independence only. It is a man struggling to be a husband to his wife, struggling to be a father to his children, and struggling to be a leader of the nation. So what used to happen is that he's now juggling these three particular events where if he becomes a good politician, then he's never home. So his family is lacking and, you know, starving emotionally. So when he comes back, his children don't even know him. You know what I mean? To a point where when they see him, they have to run away and hide the mother's back. So when he tried to stay home, the responsibility goes.
Yeah.
So him now trying to handle all these three aspects, being a husband, being a father, and being a father of the nation, is what we're going to be telling to the people. That's what people are expecting. It's going to be amazing. It's a bliss. It feels like giving up, and that's why we have people like Mama Betty that actually stood as the mother of the nation and remind him. Actually, Mama Betty never wanted him to go in politics, but afterwards she realized that no, you're being needed by our people. And as much as I need you home, your people need you more. So we gotta work it out. So it is a struggle in that direction where you find you're juggling different pieces of life and a lot of moving parts, and you have to put them together. And I think that's what people should look out for. But it's an amazing story. We're constantly making sure that the script is amazing, so that when it's out there, everybody can relate and everybody can know exactly what transpired during the liberation struggle of Zambia, Africa, and the world at large.
Awesome. And the documentary, when can we expect that?
Most likely, we're supposed to be having the documentary on, March?
Yeah. Most
likely, even April month, and I think the documentary is supposed to be on market.
Awesome.
We need it as soon as possible, so we need to go in full speed, and we see how best we can put it out there and just get excited, and, you know, we're looking forward to more things to come.
Frank, thank you very much for coming through. We
so much,
certainly hope you enjoyed it. and we certainly hope we can have you back on again. Hopefully by with the next time we talk, we'll be talking after the documentary has dropped. We can have a chat about that, and then we can also chat up leading up to the actual release of the movie again. I think that people would want to hear what you have to say.
Exactly. No, let's do it. We need to do this.
Awesome.
I had a great time. This is an amazing space, and
thank you very much.
Amazing time, man.
Thank you very much. Like I said, like I was explaining to you, this is sort of like been an experimental project, and
I think it's working.
Yeah, so
I'm an experiment, so I love experiments.
we are very
I'm probably one of the biggest experiments we've ever had. Because we don't have labs in Zambia, and so I think this is the biggest experiment we've ever had. Because man, it's crazy, man. Huh?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
But it's a very good project to sort of put your feather in.
Exactly.
It's like I was saying earlier. There's a lot of history that we still need to learn, and we need to pull together and sort of make it happen because for the sake of our future generations. Like you said, if you don't know where you're coming from, it's very easy to get lost. So we owe it to our next generation. Maybe this is our fight. Maybe this is our struggle.
It is this is our struggle, and we need to win it.
Our parents went through theirs. This is now ours to bring all of this together and document it and put it all make it all available to everyone.
Exactly.
Awesome stuff, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm more than glad to be here.
Cool, man. Sharp. Cut, Mr. Direct. Mr. DOP.